So what I want to do is share with you in the next 20 minutes why I think the term industrial metaverse is the best term to incorporate what we're going to see happening across industry and energy in the next couple of years, and why it is going to revolutionize how we use XR. And if you think I'm nuts or mad, you can explain to me afterwards. But I'll tell you one of the biggest drivers that's going to make this stick. Everything that's going on in geopolitics today, with onshoring, nearshoring, cutting on supply chains, everybody, not just the US, Ireland, France, Germany, everybody wants to bring manufacturing back. And the only way we're bringing manufacturing back to any country is autonomous and robots and designed digitally first, period. This is not about bringing back tens, thousands of low-paid jobs. That's a provocative thing you can debate later, whether I'm right or wrong. No. Oh, and that's my digital twin. I have to get into the whole chat GPT. Trust them more. Right. How many of you here have ever built or run or designed a factory? Hands up. Okay, there's a couple. Right. So what I want to do is just level set. If you're responsible for building a factory today, for whatever reason, some of the things you want to worry about is that, is it economically viable? Do I have the raw materials, whether that's rare earths, steel, power, people? Where do I get the workforce? How do I make it so that I can design this thing to meet my customers' needs? And before we were always on about, well, I design something and I spin up a factory, I create a production line, and I make hundreds of millions of these things. Where industry is headed today is I need to have a batch size of 1. I need to be able to reconfigure my production line because this customer wants only 10 of these things and he wants them in yen. How do I do that almost overnight? So these are some of the strategic imperatives that are happening. Now, the other thing is if you are building a new factory in the morning, there's a whole industrial life cycle. You start, I need to design a factory that will do this. I need to design the production lines that will make it. I need to design the software that will run, well, not design, but I need to program the software that will run the production line. I then need to be able to take all that data in real time, and as Amy said, with closed loop optimization, start doing, how can I do it better? And then my new customer walks in and says, great, I want something different. How do I reconfigure the production line almost overnight to meet that customer's needs? That's what's going on. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. Now, Amy spoke about the technical convergence. I'm not going to go back into more detail. My background, I was with Compaq, HP, and Intel. I headed up sales for Intel into the energy sector for 10 years. I'm a geek, right? I'm an electronic engineer. Look at what's going on with silicon and compute. Look at what NVIDIA was doing. I was like Amy, I was at GTC. I was drinking all the NVIDIA Kool-Aid. And they have good Kool-Aid, trust me. But look at what Qualcomm are doing. Look at what we're doing with AI out at the edge. Tensor cores. Look at what's going on with open architectures, APIs, cloud native, on-prem. Everything to do with digital twin. I'll come to that in a minute. Immersive experiences. I honestly believe that immersive experiences are a spectrum. If as Amy said, everything is being designed in 3 dimensions, spatial computing. If you design anything, whether it's buildings, whether it's a product, a car, a phone, or whatever, you're going to design it on a computer. It's a 3D model. How do I interact with that? Most of us today look at it on a 2D screen. There are 3D screen technologies. Some of them aren't bad. I didn't want to have a more immersive experience. XR, AR, VR. And what I've seen coming up in my industries quite a lot is a collaborative VR mixed reality experience. I'm bringing 10 people into a room, they're all wearing headsets and we're all looking at the same model. It's called virtual commissioning. And there's a revolution coming in edge computing. And I'll explain more about that. And one of my last points that I'll come back to again, generative AI is going to change everything we do. And I don't care whether you're white collar, blue collar, no collar worker. If you don't think there's a startup out there somewhere who's going to automate what you do, come talk to me later. You're missing that point. Now, I'm an optimistic guy, right? I think technology, and like people that know me, I'm into the tech, right? The technology is the easy bit. When we talk about the metaverse, now I was talking about the metaverse and I started coming up talking about the energy metaverse, long before metaverse became a popular term and big company changed its name. And I believe that there are characteristics of the metaverse. It's digital first. It's about a digital representation of something you're going to build, something that exists. Think digital twins. But it's not one digital twin, it is multiple digital twins. It's spatial. Everything will be spatial. We're spatial beings, everything is spatial. And Amy spoke about Fortnite. I play a lot of Fortnite. I'm an odd, right? Now, I play solo, I play zero build, and I don't talk to anybody because I don't know who I'm talking to. And I'm a sniper, so I need camera. I've watched most of the Fortnite immersive experiences. But the thing that I keep telling people in business that I work with, look at the amount of people playing Fortnite, Minecraft, whatever. Look at the amount of those people, well over 50%, they design their own games, their own worlds. They have concepts of spatial awareness, creativity out the gate. And they're playing, they don't know it, but they're interacting with a lot of physics models, how things behave. That's not changing. I said immersive experience, that could be looking at a 3D model on the screen, all the way up to VR headset, Tesla suit, haptic feedback on what I call it, the Ready Player One multi-directional treadmills, and you're off. Everything in between. The other thing I keep saying to people about digital twins, this is not about a model. It is about being able to simulate things. And when I say simulate, I mean physics simulation. If I change the metal that's in my product, how can I simulate its ability for metal fatigue, brittleness, and how do I design a new spaceship? What is it? How is it the computation of fluid dynamics? Everything is about simulation. If a person says to me, oh, I have a digital twin, I say, great, what kind? Or we do a representation of something. That's it, that's cool. But where you need to go is you need to be able to simulate. And simulate means many different things. Whether it's centralized or Web 3.0, let's see. You've got presence, I'm an avatar, and back to Amy's point, for the 5-minute virtual meeting with you, how do you know it's me? Right? That's different problem. That's time. It's collaborative. If I have an immersive experience, it needs to be shared. And I need to be able to share with people that are in different mediums. If Amy's on a 2D screen, I'm on a 3D monitor, you're on a VR headset, on a treadmill, we have to be able to share that experience. And there's an economy in there. You know, NFTs haven't gone away. Blockchain hasn't gone away. If you're doing anything in sustainability, check it how people are tracking the sustainability certificates of their products. All on blockchain. Got nothing to do with Bitcoin. It's all on blockchain. All right. So if you take those characteristics and you then go, well, what's the industrial metaverse? Well, if you start applying what we need to do in digitizing industry, you start ticking a lot of the characteristic boxes. And the term industrial metaverse. So Virginie here from Siemens, now for transparency, I do a lot of work with Siemens, NVIDIA, IBM, and a lot of devices, various people. I'm a technology evangelist. I go around explaining to people, look at the art of the possible for businesses. And then I do some advisory work with many companies on what does it mean for them. I play devil's advocate behind closed doors. I'll ask all the nasty questions that your sales teams and whatever. So I did a lot of work with Siemens. It's back in 2020, I started talking about we're building the energy metaverse. If you're building a hydrogen plant, a new offshore wind farm, everything's digital, it's digital twins, you're simulating, yeah. We're building the energy metaverse. Then working with some of the advisory work I do with Siemens and with their industrial digital industries team, Cedric Nike's team, we started talking about, Siemens have always been talking about digital meets real for 20 years, right? At least. And I was like, you're building the industrial metaverse. And then Siemens in 2022 announced their accelerator business platform, and part of that was in a partnership with NVIDIA driving the industrial metaverse. Siemens did the opening keynote at CES last year on the industrial metaverse. At CES, they announced the partnership with Sony on immersive engineering. Sony taking their VR headset, merging it with Siemens technology for the next generation of engineers. Roll forward, I was up at Hannover Messe with Siemens and others. Ernst & Young, Capgemini, Accenture, everyone's talking about the Industrial Metaverse. And Siemens up the ante because they start talking about, still know about software-defined automation, convergence with digital twins, and obviously industrial AI. So that hamster wheel is going. Now, digital twins. If I asked everybody in this room what's a digital twin, if there's 80 people in the room, I'll probably get 86 answers, at least. And I have great fun with executive management teams when I go in and go, oh, you're doing digital twins, great. And I pull out, I'm old school, I pull out post-it notes. And I get them to write down what they mean by a digital twin, and then what do they want to do with it. And I guarantee you, 10 people, 10 answers. And then they all look at each other going, I thought we understood. I'm not going to stand here and go, oh, there's a definition. There's a great thing that the Digital Twin Consortium talk about the periodic table of capabilities of a digital twin. It is an excellent one-pager piece of paper. When someone says, I want a digital twin, I go, great. To do what? Tick off the capabilities. Because right now, remember I said someone designs a factory. So it's a CAD program they design the factory. They then go off and they say, well, now we need to build a production line. I go to a different piece of software, I create another digital twin that helps me program all the software to run that, what do you call it, to run the factory. I have another program, another piece of software where I get all the real-time data. Amy talked about the Internet of Everything. In the industrial world, it's the industrial Internet of Things, all the data. And then I want to do predictive maintenance, and I want to do analytics, and whatever. I have multiple digital twins. That's good, that's bad. Problem is they're all separate, they're siloed. What's changing today is those silos are being broken down. And the biggest driver of breaking down data silos in the world today is every CEO is turning around to their company saying, what are we doing with AI? We need to train AI. How do we train AI? Oh, we have to give it all the data. And a lot of people are going, oh, this is my data, I'm not giving it to you. Because I know where the skeletons are buried, so I'm not giving you the data. And they have no choice. That is an enabler that you cannot stop. So digital twins, Bentley I twin, what Siemens do with all their software, Dassault systems, and that's just the world I live in. They're all fine, but they need to talk to each other. And I've been talking about digital transformation for years. Do you know what? I'm sick of digital transformation. Digital transformation is so 20th century. We're in the 21st century. I was one of the guys at CES, I forget his name, he's one of the futurists for CES. He spoke digital collaboration. We need to work together. And this is where, anyone heard the topic, a digital thread? So how do I tie all these different digital twins together so I can have one version of the truth, as Amy calls it, but it's not that I have one piece of software. That day is never going to happen. Because I'll be doing computation fluid dynamics in this software, I'll be doing the layout of the factory in this one, but how do I put it all together? And that will lead me on to where I think NVIDIA are doing a great job with Omniverse. We have pulled that forward. And I do believe that this is enabling so much that will break or cause XR to break. Now, what I mean by that is, I first came across XR with EDF, the guys who run the nuclear power plants in France. About 17 years ago, they were using VR to train firefighters to run around the nuclear plant. Their technology was shockingly poor compared to today, but that's what they were doing. The problem that most people in my world, energy, industrial, say, yeah, we tried VR. We took a snapshot in time of something. We gave it to a company. They went away for 2 or 3 months. They created an app. I had to learn how to use a headset. And when I started using it, that's out of date. The product doesn't look like that anymore. It's moved. I was saying, yeah, I'll try that. Didn't work. It's not integrated in our workflow. Remember what I said? The silos have been broken down because AI is forcing that. Where I see this going in the morning is if I want a new digital twin, I want to see what the factory looks like right now. I put on a headset, I hit return, and I am looking at the latest version of that factory from Friday afternoon. That's where we're headed. Because I have the guy who does the design, the operations, whatever, they're all feeding into the same thing. And if you don't believe that this is where we're headed, as I say, don't talk to me. The rise of platforms. How do we create that digital thread? I think NVIDIA have done an excellent job with their Omniverse. Bentley have iTrain. Siemens are doing lots with around their accelerator business platform, but in terms of INX and the different software packages, Teamcenter, and. You hear people talking about OpenUSD. That came from Pixel. It's a way of sharing 3D data amongst different platforms. And Amy spoke about physical AI. If anyone wants to see what the possibilities of Omniverse, what NVIDIA have done with their Omniverse stack and physical AI for robotics, with their foundational language model, their mega blueprints, NIMS, MEMS, how they've done that and how they can kickstart an industry, you gotta watch this. And it's not secret sauce. We were at the keynotes. They're planning to do this in multiple industries. So the rise of that platform. So when somebody says to me, well, how do I put it all together? I can ask, how are you joining the dots? How are you creating that digital thread? And if you don't give me a good answer, I'm going, you need to go do some work. So 3 things to mull over. So when someone comes to me and says, we're going to create an XR product and blah, blah, I go, great, how are you going to do it? And if anyone says to me, I'm taking a snapshot of the day and I want to create an app, I go, you're creating another site. And some of this is fascinating. Where's Michael from Navis? If you want to see the art of the possible when it comes to reality capture with LiDAR today, go check out his demo. It's Michael back there. But people now are pulling out mobile phones and they're doing a quick video and they do a Gaussian splat and then they share with their team members who are coming in at 9 o'clock in the morning going, we changed this last night. Here's what it looks like. Here's what we did it, whatever. And they send it to the other person as a WhatsApp message. It works. It is brilliant technology. The problem is that it just creates another silo of information. So if you can do that kind of functionality, but weave it into the overall platform that's running your entire business, that's gold. So when someone says to me, you've got this great app, we're doing this, I go, you're just building another site. Revolutionizing computing. Again, what NVIDIA are doing, what Qualcomm are doing, what ARM, AMD, Intel, if they ever get their act together, and quote me on that. What's being pushed out to the edge with agentic agents? Was it dynamic agents, where you have agents competing with each other and then they kind of fight it out as to who gets the right decision. It is incredible. The amount of stuff that's been pushed to the edge in industry, in energy. Do you know that Jetson is the big chip from NVIDIA for robotics? Utility data got that. They took half of the functionality for robots, threw it away, and they have a version for smart meters. It runs basically agentic AI in your smart meter for home energy management. Imagine what other industries would do that. And as I say, Gen AI will fundamentally change everything we do. It's scary, it is fascinating, but the ability today, I need to design a new, I was saying to some of the folks here, design a new architecture, I need a new building. You can now pull in all the building requirements around, say, parking, hit return, and the AI will come back and say, well, here's 16 different layouts for how you would lay out parking to meet all the building requirements and have maximum blah, blah, blah. How AI will change everything we do. I think it's good and bad. We talk about, where does the human fit into this? We talk about in Europe a lot about human-centric computing, human-centric AI. Human in the loop. Now I'm a human, if you're not, at least I think I am. So I'm in no hurry that whenever the AI takes over for everything. But I will always challenge someone when they say, well, we're building the new factory. I just, for fun, kind of, why are you building it for humans? Sure, if it's all autonomous, why would you need it? It's called a dark factory, lights out factory. You don't need lights in there. They use LiDAR and whatever, so you don't need lights. You don't need humanoid robots either. Why do we have humanoid robots? Because they have to work in a world that's designed for humans. So if you don't have to design for humans, look at the Amazon warehouses where things playing around the floor. AGVs, they're called. And then in the Omniverse, when you train the AGVs, it's a simulation of a simulation of a simulation. And synthetic data. Like the art of the possible to be able to how AI is fundamentally changing how we do it Like you needed real skills to create a virtual world with Unity or Unreal or whatever. You really did. I can go to ChatGPT or Claude or Mistral or whatever, go create a virtual world for me. Boom. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But Jesus, a lot better than what I would have done for 6 months trying to learn a language. Do not underestimate it. Now, is this easy? Absolutely not. Because 3 things will bite us. The data. Everybody's training their language models and foundational language models on data. The one thing, garbage in, garbage out. However, the one thing I would say when people say, oh my God, this world can't do AI will also help you clean your data. So be very, if anyone says to me, we can't do that because your data is worked off, I know you're missing the point. You're asking the wrong question. The business model, I find this fascinating. Everyone's going off creating foundational models, how to run a factory, how to run a drill, how to whatever. How are we going to make money on it? We're going to charge for this and this. Oh, it's going to be great. And then NVIDIA go off and give away a free foundational model. You put it in a hugging face. And everyone goes, hang on a second, they're going to probably for free. How am I going to make money? No, I don't want that. I'm the technology guy. It's your problem. You're the business guy. But these are the things. And the biggest feature, folks that know me, human nature. We don't like change. I've been multiple mergers. Compaq bought digital, HP bought Compaq, yada yada. In Intel, we bought lots of companies and didn't do much with them. But cut a long story short, it was like, we got to change. Everyone's going, absolutely, we need to change. All right. I'm fine. I'm done. But you need to change. So that was the other thing. And then, let's face it, in the world we live in today, human nature, if I have spare time, I read history. Ancient history, medieval history. Human nature can change for 10,000 years. There will be many technologies. Someone will find some way of effing it up, to say the Irish version, or just use it for bad. That's just human nature. But if you think I'm nuts, you can talk to me later. But if you look at the convergence of technologies, if you look at the pace of change, if you look at what's going on geopolitically in the world, and we have to onshore, nearshore, whatever reason, we're all at it. Trust me, everyone's doing it. The only way you are going to do it is by designing everything digital first, having multiple digital twins, getting them to talk together as best you can, so that you have that digital thread, you have one version of the truth. And then if I want to have an immersive experience, I want to look at a 2D model of what's going on in the production line right now. I also want to be able to run a simulation that, supposing I increase production by 20% in a month's time, can I do that? Can I run the simulations? And when I say simulation, can I run everything to figure out, will anything break? How much power will I need? Do I have all the raw materials in the warehouses or in my supply chain? Yada, yada, yada. And if you come in and say to me, well, I want a great product, I want a yellow one, can I do that? And you talk about reconfiguring the production lines. So anybody been in a factory where you want little conveyor belts and robots and whatever? Like someone built them and they wired them all up. If I need to change that in the morning, that's a hell of a lot of work, physical work. So what are you now doing? The little, what they call stations. They're robots on robots. They're all on wheels. You can reconfigure and move the robots around because they're all autonomous. And you can reconfigure the production line without any human touching it. And there's no wires because it's 5G, industrial 5G, not Verizon. Whatever. That's where we're headed. Now, I'm a technology guy. This is where I see the world going. I think it's inevitable. Is it easy? No. Is it hard? Absolutely. Humans, yeah, we're the problem. Wait till the AGI fix it out. Hopefully not. We want some Terminator. But if you think the pace of change is moving fast right now, my advice to you all is buckle up. We're just getting started. That's it. I'm done.